Welcome back here at the Success by Design show, where we're talking to successful entrepreneurs that are giving us their stories. And today we're talking about passion, following your passions. And today in the studio, I'm here with Paul Little Ray Goulet.
How are you, Alfonso?
It's a pleasure to have you here. Not only am I a fan, but my daughter's a fan as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Little Ray, your story is actually interesting, and it goes back to some of the things I was thinking about, where I see that any successful person in life, you can pretty much bet they weren't doing something they hated. And you actually have an interesting story where you went from being a banker to working with reptiles. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, my long-term plan when I was a child growing up is I would have loved to have been a zoologist, but there's no jobs in zoos in Canada, or at least at the time I thought that, to get a job at a big zoo was really hard. So my fallback position is I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to be a teacher, maybe retire when I was 55 years old, Freedom 55, and open a reptile zoo. That was my goal when I was in high school. Just some things happened, and all of a sudden I wasn't going to teachers college. I had a job at a bank, a pretty successful job, and I was doing well with the bank. And at the same time,
with a suit and tie?
I had the suit and tie. I had the suit and tie. And then at the same time, I had started Little Ray's Reptile Adventure in 1995. I had done shows since the mid-'80s in high school and stuff when I was young, just talking to kids about animals. And in 1995, and while I was working at the bank, this little side business I had for fun was growing. And in 1998, I resigned from the bank officially and pursued it as a full-time.
How did that feel like? What was that feeling?
It's a funny story because everybody always says to me, they're always like, oh my, like the risk, like so much risk. And I'm like, and my answer is there was no risk. Like, I don't understand. Like when people, I guess there's a couple factors. I didn't have kids at the time. So, it was myself and my wife, and I knew we'd always land on our feet. I had a very successful career going at the bank. And I remember my father, who had supported me in everything that I ever did. If I said I wanted to do something, he'd say, yes, do it. You can do it. You can accomplish anything. And when I told him I was resigning from the bank, he said to me, he's like, listen, he goes, Paul, you have to really think about this because, you've got this great career going in the bank. And as much as this is your passion and you want to do it, the sky's the limit. You could be the vice president of Scotiabank. You could do anything with the bank. And I remember saying to him, I said, well, Dad, I have a very successful career going with the bank. And he's like, absolutely. I said, if this doesn't work out and I fall flat on my face, do you think the bank will give me my job back? And he said, they would probably give your job back, a promotion and a raise. And I was like, exactly. So at that point in time, for me, if we, had invested a lot of our home and stuff into it, was there a chance that we could have went bankrupt? Absolutely. But I mean, I really believe at the end of the day, we had a good model that was going to work. And if I went bankrupt, I certainly wouldn't have taken any pride in that. But I could have rebuilt. I would have lost materialistic things. I would have said, I tried. I wouldn't go through my life wondering, had I tried.
So what was your moment that, you left this career as a banker, and, you put the suit and tie aside, you put on your cargo pants, you got your hat going. And what was the moment that you said, you know what, it's working? What was your aha moment that says, yes, just recently, you're a zoo. You're an official zoo. Right? That's not an easy task.
No. And I mean, we're a licensed zoo in the city of Ottawa. We're working on further getting our zoo accredited with the Canadian Association of Zoos and Aquariums. And, we have an excellent zoo and everything else, but it basically, for somebody who doesn't know, if someone wants to know if a zoo is meeting certain standards, it's actually a standard that's set for Canadian zoos. So it puts you on par with the Toronto Metro Zoo, with the Vancouver Aquarium, and everything else. So we're actually in the middle of doing that right now. But that big aha moment, like, it's kind of fun. I'm always trying to, like the whole, it's working, like we're always trying to improve. Like every single day, there's something that we're looking at, thinking how we could do it better. But the year I opened the zoo, I must say, it was 2000 when I actually opened the zoo. And it was 2000, and it was a few weeks before we opened. And I was almost having anxiety because like I'm 29 years old.
I can imagine.
And not even that I was going to fail. It was that I all of a sudden, for the first time in my life, I was like, oh my gosh, I started to look back. You know, I was lucky. I did well in school. I did well in sports. You know, I had the best friends in the world. I had the most incredible family. Now I'd left my job 2 years before to start this business. It was growing. Everything was going well. I planned to retire at 55 and open a zoo. I was 29 years old and it was about to happen. And I almost started to have like this anxiety attack, like, oh my gosh, like when's my luck is going to run out? Like I've been lucky my whole life. And
it's almost like you're cheating. It feels like you're cheating a bit. Yeah,
like it's all like, how come everything works out for me? And I almost started to feel guilty about it. And there was it's probably the only 2 weeks of my life that I can say as an adult that I was really depressed. Like, and I was just about, my dream was just about to be fulfilled, my lifelong dream, and I wasn't happy. And I was actually at the Tim Hortons on 10th Line Road in Orleans. I lived in Orleans at the time, where I had this grand epiphany, and I had ordered a sandwich. I still remember, garden vegetable sandwich from Tim Hortons, and the lady making my sandwich was making it critically slow.
Okay.
Critically slow. Now, I had just finished working 90 hours in a week. It was Sunday night. I had called my wife, told her I was coming home. I'm going to stop and get us sandwiches. And I am exhausted. I'm depressed. I'm trying to fight this lucky success that I've had over my life. And I'm watching her make the sandwiches, and I can't even say anything to her because I am so angry, and I'm not an angry person, that I am literally clenching my fists watching her make the sandwich. And all I wanted to say was, can you please just hurry up a little bit? But then in my mind, had I said that to her, what would have her response been? It'd be like, look at, you know, I make minimum wage to make sandwiches, like, but buddy, you know, settle down. And then from that point, I just would have been like, well, you know, if you don't speed up, you're going to be making sandwiches your whole life.
Exactly.
You know, and I said, you need to be, and then what do people say? They're like, well, I don't want the responsibility of management. You know, I just want to come in and do my job. I mean, hey, you have a choice. You can make, you know, $12 an hour making sandwiches, or you can make $15 an hour telling somebody to make sandwiches. Really, what would you rather be?
Where do you want to be?
Where do you want to be? Yeah. Right? And it was, I'm standing there, and I'm almost angry, and I don't get angry, and I get in my car, I'm driving to my house, and I just had this epiphany, like just this light came on, and I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not luck. Like it's not luck.
It's not luck.
It's I've hustled my whole life. Like I've walked fast. If I had to make a sandwich, I made the sandwich fast, and I did a good job so I could move on and learn something else. You know, and I use this example with kids in school. Yeah. You know, the kids that do well in class.
Well, we're running out of time, but I want to thank you. And you are a true example to people that want to follow their passion. So thank you very much for coming on the program today.
You're very welcome.
And I'm sure we'll see you at the zoo.
Thank you. It's great seeing you.
We'll be back with more Success by Design Show.